Mean, median, mode, and range. So let's start with mean. So mean is just another word for the average. An easy way to remember it is average, mean. It's the hardest one to find, so it's the meanest. So that's one way you can remember it. And the way you have to find it is you add up all the digits, add up all the numbers, then divide by how many numbers there were. Alright, so let's do an example. So we have 4, 12, 7, 8, and 4. So to find the average, the mean, like I said, I need to add up all the digits. So 4 plus 12 is 16. 16 plus 7 is 23. 23 plus 8 is 31. 31 plus 4 is 35. So I add up all my digits, and then I divide by how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to divide my 35 by 5. So that makes my average 7. Okay. This also happens to be one of the numbers, but that's not always going to be the case. Okay. It will be a number roughly in the middle of your numbers, though, even if it's not an actual number, because it's the average. It's the middle rough value if you combine all the numbers together. Okay. So I shouldn't get something ridiculous like 24, since the highest number is 12 here. All right. So that's mean. Next one is median. If you've heard of a median on the highway, it's the grassy part in the middle, or sometimes it's a little piece of concrete in the middle. Median basically means just the middle, right? So the middle number. And the key for finding the median is you must put the numbers in order from least to greatest. So must put numbers in order from least to greatest. Before you go to find the middle number. They often try to trick you, and they don't put them in order, and then you find the middle number. It's not actually the middle number. So let's do 2 examples. So our first one, we'll put these in order. And one thing, when you're putting them in order, it's a good idea to cross them out as you go, so that you know you got all the numbers and you didn't repeat any of them or make any mistakes. This is very easy when there's just 5 numbers, but it's not a bad idea to count and make sure, all right, I have 5 numbers, there were 5 numbers, so I'm good. Okay. So once I have them in order, then it's pretty easy to find the middle, especially if there's only 5, you can kind of just look. But if there's more numbers, it's a good idea to cross out the highest, lowest, next highest, lowest, until you end up with a middle number. Okay, so the median of these numbers is 7. So let's do another example. So again, I'm going to cross them out as I write them down. Putting them in order. Make sure I have them all. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers. Okay. Now this time, since I have an even number of numbers, go to cross them out. Now all of a sudden I have 2 numbers in the middle. Okay. For the median in this case is you want to find the average between the 2. What number is between the 2 of them? Sometimes you can just look at it and know, okay, well, if it was 6 and 8, the middle number is 7. But if it's a little harder, maybe like this, 6 and 9, you can actually just average them, find the mean of them, which means add them up and then divide by how many there are. In this case, there's 2 numbers, right? So if you're averaging 2 numbers, you're just dividing by 2, okay? So if I'm doing 15 divided by 2, you may just know that's 7.5, but you could also do it out, okay? So 2 goes into 15 7 times. 1 left over. Remember, you can always bring a 0 down, add my decimal point, and I get 7.5 is the median for that second example. Okay, so obviously it's easier when there's an odd number because you have a set median. If there's an even number, you're going to have to find the average of those 2 middle numbers. Okay, and remember, averaging is just adding them up and dividing by how many there are, in this case 2. So that's median. Mode. There's a handy little phrase to remember for this. It's called most often digit ever. And if you look at the first letter of each word, it spells mode, okay? So mode is just the one that's showing up the most. It's not the maximum number, it's which number shows up more than the other numbers, okay? You can have more than one mode, and you can also have no mode. So let's look at our first example. This one's fairly obvious. There's only one number that repeats. So my mode in this case would be 4, since 4 shows up twice. Okay, so it's the number that's showing up the most. In my second example, I look at the numbers and none of them are repeating. Each one shows up only once. So in this case, I'm going to say there's no mode. Some people say that all of them are the mode, but I think it usually makes more sense just to say there's no mode than listing all the numbers again. It means the same thing either way. So in this case, I would say no mode. But like I said, you could have more than one mode. You could have 2 numbers or 3 numbers that are the mode. It's just whatever numbers are showing up most often. So that's mode. It's probably the easiest one to find. And our last one is range, okay? So how far are our numbers ranging is what we're looking for. And the way we find out how far they're ranging is we take the maximum number minus the minimum number. Too many M's here. Maximum minus minimum. Okay. And a lot of times you've already done all the other numbers, so you may have the numbers in order already. If they're not in order, be really careful that you're actually finding the maximum and the minimum. Make sure you're not missing anything. But hopefully they're already in order from doing the median, and that makes it a little easier. So at that point, you just do 12 minus 4, and that would make the range of these numbers 8, okay, which means they span over 8 different digits. Our next one, our minimum 0, our maximum is 22. It makes it pretty easy. Our range is 22 for this one, okay? So it's just telling us how wide a spread our numbers are. It's a helpful information to know, are all our numbers really clustered close together, or are they spread out over a long range? Okay, so that's range. All right, so now let's do some practice. So on my last quiz, students got the following scores out of 10. So you see all my data there. I want you to go ahead and pause it. And I want you to find the mean, median, mode, and range. When you find all 4 of those, hit play, and so you can check your answers, see how you did. All right, so let's start. We'll do the hardest one first, our mean. So we need to add up all our digits, remember. So we get 15 plus 10 is 25. 25 plus 9 is 34. 34 plus 5 is 39. Plus another 9 is 48. Another 9 is 57, 10 is 67, 7 is 74, 8 is 82, 9 is 91, and finally 91 plus 8 is 99, okay? So make sure you added that up correctly. Then I need to know how many digits are there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I'm doing 99 divided by 12. 99 divided by 12. So I need to figure out how many times does 12 go into 99. So I kind of start making some guesses. Let's try, I have to try 7. Okay, 84. I think there's one more, yeah, we can do one more, 96. All right, so 8 times. Get 96. Subtract, bring down the 3, 0. 8 point, and let's go one more decimal point just to get a little more info, okay? And actually this is gonna end up pretty even, so let's go ahead and finish it off. If I do 5 times, get 60, and that's done. So 8.25 is the average for these ones, okay? So let me go ahead and move all my math out of the way so I can do the other problems. Average is 8.25. So remember, you're adding up all the digits and dividing by how many there were, okay? If you made a mistake, this is probably the easiest one to make a mistake on because obviously you could add up incorrectly and maybe you didn't get 99. Sometimes people count the digits wrong, you don't get 12, or you make a mistake on your long division. Just be really careful as you're doing it. All right, median. So remember our first step for median is we gotta put the numbers in order, okay? So I gotta find the lowest one, there's 5, and I'm gonna cross them out as I go. So I make sure I'm not missing anything. 7, 8, another 8, 9, then 1, 2, 3, 4 more 9s. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 more 9s, and then 2 10s. And it's a good idea just to make sure I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 numbers. And I know there were 12 before because that's what I divided by. All right, so I have 12 numbers. I'm going to start crossing out the lowest one and the highest one. Lowest one, highest, lowest, highest, lowest, highest, lowest, highest. And I have 2 in the middle, but it's a little easier than last time we had 2 in the middle because they're the same thing. So that means our median in this case is 9. Okay? So we have a median of 9 and an average of 8.25, a mean of 8.25. Then we go to mode and range. They're a lot easier now, especially once you put them in order, because the mode, remember the most often digit ever, really stands out. Look at this. 5 9s right there. So 9 is also our mode. It's the one showing up the most. And then finally, because I put them in order, the range is pretty easy. I need my maximum, which was 10, minus my minimum of 5, and I have a range of 5. So that's telling me that the numbers aren't ranging very far on this quiz score, okay? Because there's out of 10, but the score is only ranged in a range of 5, okay? And all these numbers are telling me people did pretty well. The mode is 9, that's pretty good. A 9 out of 10, that's what most people got. Median, the middle value of what people got was a 9, so also pretty good. My average, 8.25. Lower than my median and my mode because we got that 5 and 6, which were pretty low. They were kind of bringing it down, okay? And the range of 5 says it's not drastically wide. It's not from 0 to 10, which is good, okay? So that's what our mean, median, mode, and range are telling us about different data values. So that's how to find mean.